Dr. Randy Moore, a vascular surgeon for the past 28 years and Chief Medical Officer and co-founder for ViTAA Medical Solutions. So AI was a buzzword that sort of started to appear in the vascular literature about 5 years ago. I did a little search about 3 years ago, and at that time there were 2 journal articles being submitted to the Journal of Vascular Surgery that had AI in the title. Last year there were 12,000. So that really paints a picture of what's happened in the world of AI. And I was a bit cautionary when I'm talking about my trainees and to my patients about what AI means, because there's a lot of confusion. My son's an engineer and he tells me it's just complicated math that really takes advantage of pattern recognition. And so AI in vascular is the ability to grind through large volumes of data and then come up with patterns that you can use to predict outcomes or behavior or strategies or steps. And so we've seen at this meeting over the past 2 days already a huge emphasis on the ability of AI to answer questions that traditionally we used to answer by using small studies. So VITAA, the company that I've been involved with, which stands for Virtual Touch Aortic Angiogram, really began because I had the death of a young patient. I was following all the guidelines, but he died outside of the guidelines. And that's because for 50 years we've used a very, very poor surrogate marker to decide on risk, the size of your aorta. Problem is you've got big men, you've got small men, you've got big women, small women, you've got aortas that have different tissue strengths. And so using one biomarker size as a tool was really, really quite poor. It's the best we had, but it's becoming increasingly recognized that it's no longer acceptable to allow 12% of patients to rupture and die below size threshold. So what's happening in the aortic space is this recognition that we need a better tool. We can do better things with better rulers, but what the missing piece really is that tissue strength piece. And that's where VITAA comes in. We can actually provide actual guidance for the individual patient about tissue strength. And by combining that with AI predictive algorithms, we can tell you not only how strong or weak your aorta is today, but what's going to happen to that down the road. And that's incredibly powerful. I have patients in my office that now break into tears when they for the first time can see what their own aorta is doing. And why I'm recommending the things that I'm recommending to them. So that's the future of AI-based aortic care, precision treatment for the individual patient. So we were very careful when we were crafting this to make sure that we did this in a stepwise fashion. We built up what's called fundamental or foundational technology. That includes segmentation algorithms. Segmentation is one of the hardest things to achieve in digital imaging. What that refers to is the ability of your software to pick out the aortic anatomy from the rest of the structures. So there's a liver, there's a spleen, there's lungs, there's bowel, and so the computer is dumb, and it needs to be instructed into how to pick up those structures and how well to do it. So our segmentation algorithms are AI-based like many other companies, but we use a special product strategy called surface mesh analysis that gives us an incredible amount of accuracy. We compared that to human measurements, and it's not even in the same universe. So that's our initial platform, is the measurement tool that takes advantage of our AI-based segmentation. Because we went to the FDA with all of our foundational technology and got that approved, what that means is all of our subsequent platforms are really just going to be simple add-ons. Think of it like buying a car and now you're adding the cassette tape. Now I'm dating myself. The cassette tape or the 8-track player or Bluetooth. So you're adding features to the car, but we've got approval for the basic car. So that's where we're going. So we presented a symposium on the impact of AI in vascular care, and we sort of expected that, it's a busy time, people have lots of obligations. We thought maybe we might get a few stragglers to come in. The room was basically full. We had over 150 attendees, and one of our speakers commented on, the room is full of heavy hitters. What he meant by that is that there's a tremendous interest, even in, very, very well-established KOLs, recognizing that AI is going to change the way they practice. A lot of surgeons in the early days of AI 2 or 3 years ago said to me, is AI going to put me out of business? And radiology is a good example of that. There are some radiology groups that are struggling with maintaining their practices, given that we know that AI can provide more accurate assessment, for example, of mammograms than many radiologists. What I always say to them is this: listen, AI is not going to put you out of business, but physicians that take advantage of AI technology are going to stay in business. Physicians that don't are not. I'll use a very concrete example. I train medical students, and so I'll very commonly be on the ward and I'll ask them a question, and the medical student will pull out his phone and type in something on ChatGPT and get the answer. And traditionally we've always thought that was wrong. that you should have that in your brain. We all recognize today that there's nobody that is able to manage the entire body of knowledge that currently exists out there. And so I use that as an example of how AI is going to be an invaluable tool to allow you to move forward and provide the best patient care. I'm not suggesting for a minute that the computer is going to replace a physician, because you take the information generated by AI and you use it in your decision making. So it's an extra tool. It's tantamount to the caveman who first discovered fire. He's got an extra tool now that allows him to better look after himself and his family. This is going to allow us to better look after patients going forward. So AI will be invaluable. It'll be used every single day in every step of the decision-making and treatment process and in follow-up. And patients are going to demand it because they're going to see the improved benefits, the improved outcomes, improved patient selection that goes along hand in hand with the ability to make informed decisions based on millions of data points.